Okay, students, here's one more bonus video that's going to use that cool coin that I grabbed from Fab. But of course, we're going to make a collectible here, and I'm going to use a coin, but you can use literally anything. Anything can be a collectible. You can be collecting cookies and muffins or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new blueprint class, actor. I'm going to call this one BP Collectible. So here we are. I'm going to add a static mesh. And that mesh is going to be the coin, which hopefully comes up here. There it is. Again, we're inside of it. It's huge. So I'm going to go ahead and scale it down to like point, I don't know, 2 or something. It's probably still, let's do 0.01. All right, we'll see if that's about the right size in a second, but I'm going to put it up so that it is sort of at the right height. Compile and save. Let's see if it looks about right. That's still huge. Let's put another 0 in there. Now we're looking about right. That looks about right. Okay, so we are also going to put as a child underneath this a collision. I'm going to go with sphere. And I want to make sure that my collision sphere is is actually larger than the coin. And since this coin was such a big object, I have to scale it back up to like over 800% here, but this should work. And let's go for what we want it to do. I'm going to grab an actor begin overlap here. Pull out and type to my third person character because we want to make sure that is who is overlapping the coin. And then we have a couple things that we can do here. If we just want this to go away, we can say destroy actor, and that'll get rid of it as soon as it's, touched. But I want these to matter. So we're going to actually go and open our character. So I'm going to go and edit the third person character here. And I'm going to add a little variable here. So on the lower left, I'm going to hit this little plus sign, make a new variable called Collectibles. And I'm going to make it an integer, and compile, and make sure it starts at 0. And that's all we need. This is going to be where we store how many we have. So back in the collectible, as our third person character, I'm going to pull off a get collectibles, because that's the name of that variable that we put in there. What I want to do is add to it. Now I could add and then put a 1 here and then store this back in get collectibles or set collectibles, excuse me. And that will work. So basically this takes the variable that's in the player, adds 1 to it, and then saves it as that collectible. But there's a node that does both of these in one that I really like, and it's called ++. So I'm going to pull off and type ++, and it says increment int, which means make it 1 larger. It's going to increment it. So it grabs my collectibles, it adds 1 to it, and then now we can destroy. And that's it. It keeps track of that number for us, and we're going to use that number for something in a minute. But let's go ahead and see if this works. I can walk over to my coin over here, and I can walk into it, and it disappears. Now, it doesn't really feel great as a collectible, so I'm going to make a couple other changes to it. Back here in the collectible, I'm going to go to the viewport. One thing I like to do is grab the collectible itself and move it up a bit from the root. This just makes it easier to place because when I place like on a platform, it'll float a little higher. But I'm going to use some of the things that we had at the beginning. I'm going to add rotating movement. Looks pretty good. But let's make it really sing, right? We're going to call this juicing. Right? I'm going to juice the heck out of this collectible here. And I'm going to add interp movement. We're going to use both at the same time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. We're going to add 2 control points. The second one's just going to be maybe 50 higher. So we have 0, 0, 0, and then 0, 0, 50. I'm going to make it be ping pong. And now let's simulate. And now we get a spin and an up and down. So there's no way you'll miss the collectibles in the scene. Okay, and what's cool is these collectibles, they all have the same code, but you could even, right, like you could even come in and change whatever mesh it is, though it will take the scaling that we set of this mesh. So if I click something else here, it's going to go kind of wild because this is so small / so big. So I could make it a collectible. I think there's a power up here. It's like this little guy. And so he just disappeared. So I'd have to come in here and like super reset the scale. That looks okay. I'd have to super reset the sphere scale as well. There we go. But point is, these would all move and all bounce. They even go at the same sort of time, which is kind of fun. Yeah. Now let's make it so these guys actually matter for something. So I have here my level loader that we did way earlier. And all I've done is I added this little particle effect to it. So I grabbed the particle effect on Fab. It's the same level loader. But I'm going to go ahead and edit the level loader's code here. I'm going to go into the event graph. And right now, it casts a third-person character. And then it opens a level. Instead, I'm going to have it get collectibles. And it is going to use a node called compare int. And so it's going to say, do you have, how many do you have, right? And I'm going to make this a variable. And I'm going to call it like collectibles needed. And if you have equal to or greater than the number of collectibles needed, then it will open the next level. So I'm going to open the little I here so that we can change it on the fly. And here in the level, I'll say, hey, you need 2 collectibles to be able to exit. So now, if I go straight here for the level loader, nothing happens. I can't end the level. But if I go and I pick up my 2 coins, which we can, of course, spread out and use level design to put all sorts of places where people have to do little jumps or little tests to get it. And now if I walk into it, it will load the next level. Now, we still kind of need a way to explain this to the player, so I'm going to add one more thing. Back in the level loader, I'm going to make another collision box. And this one, I'm going to make wider than the one that sort of sets off loading a new level. Okay, so we're going to hit this box first. And this one is going to be the, let's rename it. I'm going to call it message box. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a text render, which is sort of a, I'm going to put it under message box, text. And text render is sort of a cheap 3D text that pops up on the screen. You probably shouldn't use it for actual finished games, but it will work for our parkour levels. And I'm going to come right here on the right side to change the text, and I'm going to have it say collect all coins, or whatever you have, to leave, to win, however you want to think about it. So I'm going to make it say that, collect all coins. Make it a little smaller. Collect all coins to leave. I'm going to put it above over here. And I'm going to turn off visible. So it goes away. So now, in my event graph, I'm going to grab message box and get a new event on begin overlap. And third person character. And I'm going to have it just like this, check to see how many collectibles they have. I can actually copy a lot of this code. So we can get the collectibles. We can check to see. Okay. It was Control-C, Control-V. So if we have less than the number of collectibles needed, I'm going to take text. I'm going to set visibility to true. And then we're going to do one more thing just to make it really clean. I'm going to go to message box and add an event end overlap. So if the player leaves, and I'm just going to grab this bit at the end, Control-C, Control-V, because we're going to set the visibility to off if the player leaves. We don't need to check the count, because what if somehow the player collected a coin while in the box and it throws everything off and then you're over the number and the message is visible forever. This just makes it so the message will pop up as we walk in and it'll go away as we walk out. I just realized I made one mistake here, which is it's checking to see if we have more than enough coins, equal to or greater than, and our little sign, the message, should show up if it is less than. If you hold Control on your keyboard, you can grab an existing line and move it somewhere else. So now the message will show up if we have less than the needed amount of coins, and it'll go away regardless. So if we have less than 2 coins, we can see here, pops up, says collect all coins to leave, walk away, it goes away, and then I could go collect those coins, and then I would be able to leave as normal.